Hello, friends. Skip here. Welcome back to How Did This Happen? Today, I'm going to discuss immortality. Not this like the typical live forever version of immortality, but a version that includes death. And if that sounds weird and counterintuitive, just hear me out. But first, a word from our sponsor. Do you ever feel like you can't get a deep breath? With air, you'll never suffer from suboptimal breathing again. Just open a new bottle, cram the proprietary nozzle into your biggest face hole, and press the patented quick release button. Air will furiously dispense fresh atmosphere into your body, giving you the deepest breath of your miserable life. Air. Breathe easy, knowing you wasted your money. Wow, that's our sponsor, huh? Okay, cool. Okay, I guess that's who we're tracking. Anyway, back to the pod. So you're immortal. You and I, we're all immortal. And when I say you, I'm actually putting that in air quotes. So let me explain here. Really, kind of what brought me around to this idea is that I realized that we kind of live forever, but we do so at different resolutions, which is a very sort of IT technology term, resolution. But it really makes sense because while you're alive, your life is your physical body and your mind, right? That's who you are. But while you're alive, you're also leaving behind artifacts. Like everything you do is an artifact that you leave behind in the world because you're there doing it. It's just, the result of your interactions with the world. So artifacts is also kind of a techie sort of sounding word, or it's a technical sounding word. And what it really means is just anything that you've made or done. So, like you've made a piece of art, or every time you created a meal, or let's say you wrote a paper or something, or you created a pile of lawn clippings. Like literally any interaction you have with the world creates this artifact that's left behind by you. It could be social interactions. When you talk to somebody in person, those are artifacts of you as a human being. And they can only be created by you. They're all a distillation in some way of you at the exact moment that that artifact is created. And it couldn't be created in any other way. You're the only person who could create it. So that's what I mean by artifacts, is like these leave behinds of your existence, kind of proof that you were there. And I was thinking about it, and sort of the interesting thing is that those even occur before you're born. Like you have an influence on the world before you even are in the world. So, like, your mother, when she found out she was pregnant, your artifacts started occurring. They actually occurred before that, even, but as soon as they started, I'm like, she knew she was pregnant because you were there, not because you weren't. So, the artifact of you just being conceived creates changes in the world that then is kind of a little subset of who you are. And once your mother realized that she was pregnant, then obviously things change more dramatically because now your artifacts have more physical impact on the world because your mother started preparing for having a baby. Got to get the baby room in place and talk to more visits to the doctor, and that changes things, right? So you don't really think about those so much, but that happens too. Like before you're even born, you start creating these artifacts in the world. Obviously, once you're born, they get much larger. Like those artifacts are much more, um, they have a higher resolution, actually, we'll put it that way. Because you're directly impacting the world, they are a much closer approximation to who you are. It's not like I'm impacting my mother through her body by being in the womb, and then she does something. Well, that's still kind of a little bit you. But once you're born, it's fully you. Like you walk around the house, you interact with objects and things, you make a change in the world, you draw on take a crayon and paint on the wall where you're not supposed to, that kind of thing, right? You're making a direct impact in the world, creating an artifact personally that's a smaller, distilled subset of who you are. And over time, during your life, the resolution of those artifacts change because you create more detailed things in the world. So your resolution actually increases over time from when you're conceived to through, when you're born throughout your life. Like those pieces that you're leaving behind become more detailed. Case in point, you've probably written essays, right, in school. Maybe once you left school, you started writing about things. Maybe you wrote poems or created art or, any of the things that you can imagine you could do. Each one of those things is another little piece of you. Summed together, they tell a more full story of your life across time, but they're all still there. It's just a slightly different resolution each time. Like as you add more items to it, the resolution goes up. Each individual item could have a very high or very low resolution. Like if I just go somewhere and sign my name on something, that's pretty low impact. But if I were to write a book, let's say, that book is pretty high resolution, right? It includes a lot more of me as a human being, right? So that's the thing I'm talking about. It's like that bit of you that you're leaving behind. That's immortal. It stays around forever, practically speaking. Not really, because nothing does, but practically speaking, it's there forever. This little piece of you that you're leaving behind. And as you get older, if you are lucky enough to live, for 80 years or whatever, you're leaving behind a much larger impact on the world, a much higher resolution batch of artifacts. And probably what really happens is throughout your life, that resolution of things you're leaving behind gets higher as you get more skilled in certain things, as you create more impact in the world. Those artifacts get higher resolution for a while. Then, as you get much older and you sort of pull back from doing things, it's not like it drops off immediately, but you kind of pull back on those things and produce fewer artifacts in the world. And eventually, at some point, you'll die. Sorry, didn't mean to be a spoiler here, but eventually, when we die, all those artifacts stop occurring, right? like your mind, the moment your mind goes away from death, that's when your social interactions still exist, but you're no longer including any of your conscious input, right? Your body even would continue to still create some artifacts. You have a funeral, your body decomposes. Those are all things that'll still occur and affect the world, but to a much lesser degree because your mind is gone, for one thing. And also, it just kind of makes sense. Like there's less of you to go around over time. So each one of these little artifacts is sitting around and they all carry, like I said, like a little piece of information about you. They all have this distilled version of you in them, but it's not all of you. All of you, like when you're alive and thinking and doing things, that's a full resolution you, air quotes you. Each one of those artifacts is just a small piece of that, but it's still there. It's just lower resolution. It doesn't contain all the information that is you. And it's also kind of like you can think about it from if you're into technology and compression algorithms and that sort of thing, you can also kind of think of it as a lossy conversion because your brain is essentially a high resolution. I wouldn't call it a digital because your brain is definitely analog, but there's a lot of digital aspects to it. But all the things that you're creating in the world are probably analog things. Like physical things are definitely analog. If you create software, that's one digital thing, but pretty much everything else is analog. So it's kind of like a lossy conversion too. So you kind of end up at this place where you're going to leave stuff behind. It's probably going to be not all of you, like the chance of you getting everything that is you into some sort of long-term physical substrate that isn't you would be very difficult. Like I don't even know if that's possible. But this shadow of you, all these artifacts that you create, is going to still exist. Lower resolution, but it's still you. It's going to sit around forever. Probably, maybe, kinda. It'll be around a long time at least. Maybe not forever, but for a long, long time. Those things that you've done interact with the world. I guess the question might be, how long does it really last? It's not forever, right? Nothing is forever. Even the universe will end eventually, we think. So it will be there, but it'll diminish, obviously, over time. I've heard the quote that everybody dies twice. The first time when you physically die, and the second time when the last person who ever mentions you mentions you. But if we create enough artifacts with enough resolution in each one of them, that second death might be further away. So I don't know, it's kind of an interesting idea, this concept of sort of living forever through the things that we leave behind. And I actually put this on Reddit. I asked a question on Ask Anything. I think it was on Ask Anything. Anyway, I'll put a link in the description. And I basically asked, like, what do people think of this? And one person came back and said, well, it's essentially karma, which I didn't I didn't put that together. I didn't realize that's what karma was, because I thought karma was when you do things that whatever you kind of put out into the world can come back to you, which to me was more about its interaction on you and not your interaction on it. Also, I was more focusing on like the information density of the artifacts that you leave behind and less about how they affect other things. Anyway, in this Reddit link, you can read a little more there if you choose to. It's kind of interesting because they're talking about karma, saying that like the Eastern concept of karma is very similar to what I've described here. This leaving behind of artifacts and how it kind of lives forever and it affects other things. And it's not just doing something that then affects you later. Like if I rob a bank and later on I get, punched in the face, that's karma for robbing the bank, right? Anyway, I thought it was a really interesting idea. Thought I'd chat about it a little bit and get everybody else's feedback on that. I'd be really interested to hear what you all think. Do you all think that you're immortal in some way? Do you think that what you leave behind will affect future generations in a positive way, a negative way? I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thought concept. So that was it. Just wanted to kind of chat through that, kind of get that out there since I've been thinking about it for a while. So if you have any more thoughts, you want to leave some comments, please do. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Thanks all, and I appreciate you coming today and listening. Had a great time kind of just chatting through an additional thing that I was thinking about here. I'll talk to y'all later, I guess, because I don't know how to end this. That's always my problem. I still don't know how to end these things. So I'm just going to sign off and say bye. Thanks for listening to How Did This Happen?
Sun's up, come on in. Got ideas, let's begin. Hey! Little chat for your day.